Less than 72 hours from now, Prime Minister Modi leaves for the United States. A historic visit by all accounts. But there's a question that throws something of a cloud over his departure. When he leaves Indian soil, will Chinese troops still be on it? The Ladakh standoff has been on for nearly 2 weeks now, with no sign of an end. So that leaves the possibility of the country's chief executive, its leader, its prime minister, who had a really tough message for China earlier this year, leaving before the face-off has even ended and the adversary has withdrawn.
The Chinese premier has long gone, but his troops are still camping in Chumar, Ladakh. PLA troops have pitched 7 tents inside Indian territory and are showing no signs of withdrawing. The Chinese troops arrived in vehicles on Saturday in Chumar, 300 kilometers from Leh. Close to 100 PLA troops pitched tents near Point 30R in Ladakh. The post that helps India keep a vigil deep inside Chinese occupied territory. This incursion is in addition to the 35-odd personnel who are already camping at a hillock in the Chumar area. Meanwhile, the India-China media exchange program became the first casualty of the border standoff. The provocation continues even after India's tough talk with China. The Congress, which has chided the Prime Minister for his silence, has torn into the government, calling it hypocritical. With the standoff steadily marching towards the 2-week mark, the big question is whether the standoff in Ladakh will end before Prime Minister Modi leaves the country to visit the US in 3 days. Bureau Report, headlines today.
And joining me live to discuss this, remember, in just 72 hours from now, Prime Minister Modi leaves India for Washington and New York. He will be there for the UNGA. But right here, it's over 10 days since the standoff in Ladakh actually began. I'm joined now by Jaivir Shergill of the Congress. We also have Aman Sinha of the BJP who remains with us. Jaivir, I'd like to come to you first. The Congress today has put out a very strong message saying Narendra Modi has remained silent about the China issue. He hasn't said a word about it. There was tough talk in Delhi when the Chinese president was in India. But at the end of the day, nothing has happened on the ground because the standoff remains. The Congress's demand is that the Prime Minister needs to break his silence and speak about it, Jaivir.
Shiv, I want to make 4 points on this. Number one, considering that the past week has witnessed all symbolism and imaginary things happening on one side and incursions happening on the other side, the effrontery shown by China had to be met with very strong message, but that failed. To top it all and insult to the injury, the PM was completely silent. Number 3, worst thing happened. The Chief Additional Secretary of Gujarat, while issuing an imaginary map, started showing Aksai region and J&K region as disputed territories. This is completely unheard of. This is insulting. Where is Mr. Modi's entire jingoism gone when he was on the stage during the election campaign saying, "Main desh nahi jukne dunga"? Number 4. What does the situation demand today? Now, we all know the love of Mr. Modi of subsuming every power. Is the NSAB on board? Is the special representative being appointed when Mr. Modi leaves? Who is talking to China? While we are serving, it's all hunky-dory to serve dhokla in one point, but nothing to do. This entire thing reminds me of a classic mythology of the Trojan horse, that you come inside as a guest and then start pitch tents on my territory. Now, India wants to know what is next. You know, who is the NSAB on board? Are you appointing special representatives? What are you going to do?
Let's put that question. Let's put that question to Aman Sinha. Aman Sinha, what is next? The Congress says the BJP is silent. The Prime Minister is off to the United States. There's no clear plan on what's going to happen, and the Chinese troops are still here. They don't care about any tough talk. I'll come back to you, Jaivir. Let Aman respond. Let Aman respond.
Okay.
Sure. First of all, let me say to my Congress friend, it seems he read out some election speech. Now, the fact of the matter is that UPA government, when it was in power, it was the weakest government as far as foreign policy was concerned in the history of independent India.
Aman, take the direct question, but. Okay, that's pretty unfortunate. We've lost that link with Aman. I'll get back to him in just a moment. Let me put another question to Jaivir at this point. Jaivir, doesn't it seem ironic at this point of time? And I want Aman, back on the line so I can put that question to him as well. Jaivir, it appears at this time that the UPA is basically accusing Modi of being like the UPA was.
Shiv, there are 2 points to be considered in this. China and India's problem as to the line of actual control has always been dispute. Now, what did UPA do about it? You will remember 15th April when there was an incursion in Daulat Beg area. We appointed a special representative and the status quo was maintained. We were evidently seeing something, and that yielded results. Mr. Salman Khurshid was talking every day, special representatives were there and status quo was maintained. Second, 9th December 2013, the Border Defence Cooperation Agreement was signed. Article 2, what was the purpose says? Article 2 of that purpose says, both sides will be aware of each other's military exercise in order to maintain peace and tranquility against, on the actual line of control. Now, did Mr. Modi even emphasize that there exists such an agreement?
Let Aman respond. Okay,
can you hear me?
That we hold you responsible for that?
Okay, let Aman respond. Aman, go ahead.
Now, Shiv, my friend from Congress party, read out some election speech. Let me tell him that Congress party was weakest as far as foreign policy was concerned. And in eyes of international community, India lost its respect and credibility as long as UPA was there. In such a short lapse of time, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has earned immense respect of not only our people from India, but even our international global community.
Okay.
Shiv, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Hello? No, please allow me to complete.
Please,
he has made a very elaborate
quickly finish your point.
Now, secondly, coming back to, yes. Coming back to,
Very sad, we've lost that link again. We've got some technical problems with Aman Sinha's link, but we're going to continue this debate. Jaivir, thanks for joining us. Aman Sinha, also thanks for joining us on that. We're going to try and fix that link. We will be talking about this issue tomorrow as well. Narendra Modi will be leaving for the United States in just 3 days from now, but Chinese troops are still on Indian soil. We're going to get you maximum coverage of what happens over the next 3 days right here on Headlines Today.